Hello, this is episode 38 of the Movie Burner podcast, the weekly podcast from Movie Burner Entertainment, where we discuss the latest entertainment news, reviews and share our views. So what's up first, John?
First this week, Stephen, we're going to be talking about Kevin Smith stabbing his best friend in the back and saying that he wished that Christian Bale had remained as Batman all along. I'll get into it a little bit further into the conversation once I've let you in to explain what's happening. Stephen, fling you under the bus early on in proceedings here, but needless to say, he's contradicting himself a little bit, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little moment, John. This came from Screen Rant. You know, I'm just looking at that image that's on their website for this article, John, and it just shows the contrast in both versions of these characters, from the Christian Bale one to the Ben Affleck one. And, you know, Kevin Smith's really just going back a few years when the Man of Steel film was released, that when Christopher Nolan came on as a producer, like most people naturally assumed that there was a good chance that Christian Bale was coming back to play the Dark Knight, and just really talking about his disappointment in that. We know that he's a very close friend of Affleck. I don't know how close they are these days, but they've got a long history in Kevin Smith films, and it's not that he's really dissing Affleck as in his portrayal of the character. He would have just preferred if Christian Bale had continued playing the role. I don't think it gives any quotes or anything from Christian Bale from his point of view, because I did read somewhere that he regretted hanging up the cape after The Dark Knight Rises, but you've got to look at other things as well, that after Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, the third film was a little bit of a disappointment, and I think he just got out at the right time. His story and his arc were all tied up in a nice, neat little bow, having his coffee in Italy and just kind of signalling over to Alfred. It was a nice ending to that film and that trilogy. The other thing you've got to look at as well is that it was such a contained version of a superhero movie in his own sort of world, Christian Nolan world, if you want to call it that, where it was more gritty, more real life, and where DC and Warner Brothers wanted to take the DCEU was a different place to Christopher Nolan settings. So I can understand his disappointment, but I think they made the right choice. I think it keeps the Dark Knight trilogy its own thing. Affleck, I think he's a terrific Batman. I'm looking forward to this upcoming The Batman film. I also think he plays a good Bruce Wayne as well.
Yeah, I agree with much of what you said there, Stephen. I can totally understand what Kevin Smith's saying here. I was half joking when I said he stabbed his friend in the back. He clearly didn't stab Ben Affleck in the back. He's just saying that when Christopher Nolan came on, as you said there, that he'd expected that somehow these two universes might interconnect, because it does further say in the article that Batman films have been going on forever and ever, really, and that DC and Warner Brothers all of a sudden threw them together into a connected universe. So you can understand why he maybe thought he got his wires crossed and maybe thought that the two versions should connect together, you know, Henry Cavill's Superman and Christian Bale's Batman. But as I did say to you earlier, Stephen, before we came on, it was never ever going to be possible. Christopher Nolan created a gritty, dark, realistic setting for his Batman films, his trilogy. You touched on it when he says that the villains in that trilogy were all as human and as realistic as possible. You had Scarecrow using drugs and putting on a sack on his head, and then obviously they're hallucinating, and that's making them think that he's this supernatural being. And then you've got the Joker, who's also a very human character. He's a bit of a weasel, uses a lot of tricks and henchmen to really do his bidding. And then obviously Ra's al Ghul, and prior to that, and then you've got Talia al Ghul and Bane. So they're all very human characters. They're not supernatural characters. They're not flying about. They're not got super speed, super abilities. And it was self-contained stories as well. There were 3 very self-contained stories. You can't interconnect that into a DCEU. You just can't. And then you've got the fact that Warner Brothers themselves are going for a totally different tone. They're going for a totally different idea with their interconnected universe. Also, it's not worked. So they maybe changed their mind. But who knows, maybe Shazam will be the film that will change all our minds and we'll all be on board after that, or Aquaman. But they were wanting the more, not campy, but the more traditional superhero style characters. Superman flying about, Batman being, well, Batman's always realistic. He's just a multi-billionaire who's got all these gadgets. He's the most realistic superhero ever in any comic. probably alongside Tony Stark and stuff like that. But they were wanting that more traditional superhero film, and I just don't think Christian Bale's iteration of the character would have meshed in with that at all. But as I said previously, before I let you back in, Stephen, he kind of is contradicting himself though, because a few years back he was defending Ben Affleck's casting as Batman around about the time of, I think it was Man of Steel, and he was saying, listen, this is a guy that's got a bat cave, or spent $50,000 on a bat cave door, and you can't get a better actor than that to come on board because he's a fan of the character, a genuine fan. And now he's saying that he wished Christian Bale was Batman all along. Get what he's saying, kind of a contradicting himself, wouldn't have worked though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith, love his work, and his collaborations with Ben Affleck over the years has been very successful. If I was to describe the versions of what we've just been talking about, John, I would say that the Dark Knight trilogy is more graphic novel, and the DCEU is more comic book. That's the only way I can really understand and separate both versions. And just going back to Christian Bale as well, I think he's been asked a number of times over the years what he feels about the new version of Batman as well. I think he is a fan. He's spoke positive about the way the franchise has gone, but as I mentioned earlier, he's regretted walking away from it. But I think it was the best thing for him as well. I think as I previously mentioned, his ending was he couldn't really do any more with it. He created the legend at the very end. That would inspire the city to be a better place and all that, and it was just, I wouldn't like to see a continuation of that. It just ended perfectly. You don't want to see that iteration being regurgitated, and it kind of spoils the myth of his sacrifice at the end, if you like. I've got to admit, I'm looking forward to this film, The Batman. It's been delayed a few times. Directors have came and gone. Ben Affleck's took a back seat from directing and writing from it, and he's just going to appear in it. That opened up a can of worms out whether or not Ben Affleck was going to walk away from the DCEU altogether. I don't think he will. I think he's too passionate about the character. He knows that, I don't want to say he's getting on or anything like that, but it's probably his last chance to portray the character in a single film, so I don't think he's going to walk away from it. I think it's going to be a great film. I think with these upcoming Joker films as well, possibly not the Joaquin Phoenix one, but certainly the Jared Leto one, I think you might see him crop up there, very similar to the, his cameo in the Suicide Squad as well. But we'll have to wait and see. I get what Kevin Smith is saying here, but I don't agree with him. I think they did the right thing recasting the character.
Yeah, I totally do as well. As I said previously, Stephen, it just wouldn't have worked that, and I've actually enjoyed Ben Affleck's take in the character as well. Christian Bale isn't the be-all and end-all when it comes to Batman and playing Bruce Wayne. You also had Michael Keaton, who was probably the other outstanding candidate, and obviously Val Kilmer as well. We'll not mention George Clooney because he was an abomination. But just touching back, I actually forgot about the ending of the Dark Knight Rises, where I do recall around about that time, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here, it's not really connecting into what we're discussing just now, but I do recall, I believe it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt was playing Nightwing around about that time, and it was rumoured he was Nightwing. Also, with the sacrifice that Batman made at the end of that film, there was talk that he could become the new Batman in an expanded version of Christopher Nolan's universe. Also, that didn't happen. We did get a reboot. They went under DCEU, and they cast Ben Affleck, and I thought it was a great casting decision. Didn't actually realise he was as big a Batman fan as he was until very recently. But I thoroughly enjoyed his performances, and I've not really got any issues with him casting Ben Affleck because I think he's done a thoroughly good job. It's certainly not been his fault. I did mention previously that you can criticise Warner Brothers and the DCEU for a lot of things, but one thing you can't criticise them for is their casting decisions across the board. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, great choice. Henry Cavill, for me, the best Superman there's ever been. Ben Affleck, very solid Bruce Wayne Batman. Ezra Miller, The Flash, great choice. Jason Momoa as Aquaman, another great choice. So I've not got any real issues with the casting across the board. I think it's been exemplary in the most part. And I thoroughly share your sentiments about the Batman film. I'm not entirely sure what the future is for the Batman character, whether Ben Affleck is going to remain as a character, because I know there was a lot of bad blood after they kind of threw his script out and he stepped back away as director, but I hope he does continue on for a little bit longer anyway, because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who could play the character right now. Maybe they could get Christian Bale back and everybody would be happy.
Who knows, John? But yeah, it's just going back to what you were saying there. The relationship between Godot, Cavill, and Ben Affleck, I think that's one of the things that's more positive about the DCEU. I think their relationships and their chemistry on screen has worked. You can say what you want, you know, the sort of dialogue between Superman and Batman and Dawn of Justice, it worked, you know. You can say what you want about that film as well. It wasn't the greatest, but I felt the relationship between the two characters and the banter between them worked as well. And I'm just looking forward, as I said, to seeing the Batman film. I think that Ben Affleck was perfectly cast. I remember there was a bit of a backlash similar to Heath Ledger when he was cast as the Joker 10 years ago. There was a similar sort of backlash when Ben Affleck was cast as Bruce Wayne Batman. I wasn't one of them. I could totally see him playing an older version of Bruce Wayne that had already served time as the Dark Knight, and we were seeing the next chapter in his life and his creation, where there was obviously a history with the Joker when we see that uniform. I don't know if it was Robin's or Nightwing's, I'm not sure, but I liked that take. They weren't going to regurgitate an Origins film with Ben Affleck as the Cape Crusader. You know, they were certainly taking it in a different direction, and I just pictured him the minute it was announced. I pictured him as Bruce Wayne, an older Bruce Wayne, and it does work.
Yeah, I learnt my lesson, Stephen, after the backlash and furore over the casting of Heath Ledger. I thoroughly enjoyed Heath Ledger even before The Dark Knight. I loved 10 Things I Hate About You. That's a guilty pleasure of mine, just because of Heath Ledger. I remember him playing a music band thing in an American football field. Totally different character, totally different concept, tone, film and everything. But I liked him prior to The Dark Knight and I had no issues with the casting, but a lot of people did. And I learned a lesson, a valuable lesson, that don't judge an actor on his previous work, because they can come in and surprise you and play a character you might not have anticipated they could play. But we are going to move on, Stephen, to the next topic, which is all about Mark Hamill kind of taking a step back from the speculation and rumours about him maybe appearing in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He was obviously having a conversation a few months back with director James Gunn, and there was hints that he maybe pop up in this film, but he appears to be quashing any rumours and talk about that now. Pretty much confirmed he's not going to be in it. Or is he?
Yeah, this was on Cinema Blend, John, where Mark Hamill gave a few quotes via Twitter, I think, when both of them were sort of sharing some kind of barbecue. They had a lot in common. We actually covered this maybe about a month or two ago when, you know, the news broke that we're having this mad conversation on Twitter, to all the fans' delight, you know, that there could possibly be a role created for Mark Hamill after he was finished with his Star Wars gig. To this point anyway, we don't know if he will appear in episode 9. That's to remain to be seen. But basically Mark Hamill is saying, you know, as much as he enjoys the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, he's a big fan of it, but he prefers to be an audience member. There's a little less pressure in there when you're not appearing in a film. It goes on to say that, you know, it's like the Solo Star Wars story film and the Rogue One story, which he enjoyed more than the saga films, the ones he was in. Don't know why you're an actor, Mark, but if you prefer being an audience member, I certainly would love to appear in any Star Wars film, but there you are. And I think it's all down to, you know, there's no anxiety, and he can just be a normal paying member of the public enjoying this franchise. I can see what he's trying to say here. I thoroughly enjoyed the first two Guardians of the Galaxy films. Don't know about the actors in these films, how they handle being part of the franchise. They obviously see it from a different point of view than we do. Very much like the Beatles, you know, only 4 people can actually say, you know, they knew what it was like to be in the Beatles, and they don't see it, you know, from our perspective. So I can see what Mark Hamill's saying here, but I would have loved to have seen him even do a little cameo. You know, it didn't have to be anything major, you know, similar to Sylvester Stallone's appearance at the sort of very end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, totally agree. That was exactly what I had in mind for the character, Stephen, that he would potentially be coming into play if it was to have happened. Along the lines of that sort of a ragtag group of, I don't know what you even call them, the type of guys that Michael Rooker was, scavengers he was connected with. And obviously, as you said, Sylvester Stallone played one of them as well, so that was what I had in mind. And I just think it's a real shame, Stephen, that Mark Hamill is appearing to come out and quash these rumours, the speculation that he was maybe appearing. I completely agree with what you said. It would have been great to see him come in as just a cameo. I wouldn't have expected him to be a major player in the film. think it would have been fantastic. He's quite a chameleon of an actor. He can pop up and play these various different characters, and he has got the ability to kind of change his appearance wildly too. As we've seen in The Flash when he played the trickster, he looked totally unrecognisable from an older Luke Skywalker at points when he was playing that role. So it would have been great to see him come in and do something like that. But we do need to ask ourselves the question. I will pass this question on to you now, Stephen. Do you think this is an elaborate double bluff on the part of Mark Hamill? Is he playing the fans of this franchise like a fiddle? And is he really coming in to maybe play a minor cameo role? Or is he indeed just kicking it to the back burner and saying, listen, this isn't happening? I can kind of see what he's saying about the anxiety thing, but then again I can't, because I don't suffer from anxiety and I've never been involved in a big movie production. So I don't know, is this an elaborate double bluff, or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think Mark Hamill suffers anxiety. I can't imagine that. He's appeared in some of the biggest and greatest films in cinema history, and he takes it all in his stride. No one's that good an actor to hide that, I'm afraid. When you see him on the red carpet, he's so comfortable. This is a man you've got to remember for a best part of 15-20 years was a voice actor. We didn't really see much of him out and about. He was in the recording studios working mostly on some DC animated stuff. And that's the other point I was going to make just before I answer your question, John. There could be something DC related that perhaps maybe can't involve himself with Marvel. I don't know. I mean, it's really just grasping at straws here. I'm not really sure. I do think he does like to play the audience. You know, he likes to throw people off the scent. During the promotion of The Last Jedi, I remember he was, I think he turned up at Cambridge to do a question and answers, and he just loved the fact he knew things that no one else knew. You know, he's probably the most experienced guy of keeping secrets in movie history, all back to 1980 and The Empire Strikes Back, with one of the biggest reveals. Only himself, Irvin Kershner and George Lucas knew about the reveal that we all know about now. And he's got such a long history of keeping these secrets. It could be that he's just trying to throw the fans off the scent that he does make an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy, because I still don't think he's finished with Star Wars either. Although the rumblings over the last few months from Mark Hamill is that he's a bit fed up. I can understand he's maybe not got enthusiasm now that Carrie Fisher is passed on, and he's not got that kind of brother-sister relationship, you know, behind the set. It's no longer there. You know, obviously Harrison Ford's not going to be appearing in any more Star Wars films either, so I can understand that maybe his enthusiasm's a little down at the moment, but I don't think he's finished with that character yet. I think we're going to see him back as Luke Skywalker, and I do think we will see him appear in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, that's why I was asking the question, Stephen, because he is a bit of a trickster, Stephen, let's face it. He does like to play the audience. As you say, that great speech he did at Oxford University, where he's great at holding secrets and kind of playing with the emotions of fans, just giving them a sense that they maybe get a little bit of tidbit of news that they shouldn't get, and then he just whips it out from them. And there's also been occasions where fans have tried to get him to make a slip, and he's went off and told a completely different story about some point in his history just to get out of it. So he is that type of a character. He is capable of double bluffing audiences. Now, I would love to see him pop up in a minor cameo. Just the fact that he did have a sort of a barbecue meeting with James Gunn in his own house. I know they're next door neighbours, and that was kind of a part of the joke he was doing with James Gunn on Twitter, where he was saying, listen, we've been neighbours and we've never once had a chat, we've never been over and had a drink or something like that together. You know, also now they've sorted that out, they've had a nice little barbecue session with each other. But the fact that they have been together, I think there's significance in that. I can't imagine James Gunn coming over to speak to Mark Hamill and having food and drinks with him if it's not to discuss some form of business and getting him on in some role, in some shape or form in the film. So I agree. I think he will pop up in a minor cameo regardless of what he's saying in Twitter, although time will tell when the film comes out. The other thing that springs to mind, and it sprung to mind immediately for me, was the fact that we have got episode 9 starting its filming this month. J.J. Abrams, I believe, is starting production maybe in the middle of this month or so. So I think that could be a significant factor in this whole thing as well. Maybe it is coming back as the character of Luke Skywalker in episode 9. It's obviously very cloak and daggers at the moment, and there's not been an official confirmation that he's returning one way or the other, but I absolutely agree with what you said about that as well, Stephen. I don't believe for 1 minute that Mark Hamill's done with the character of Luke Skywalker as well. I know he's shared some grievances about the direction of the character, and obviously that he hasn't got any real connection with the original Holy Trinity of obviously Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. But there's still so much to come from the character of Luke Skywalker in this sequel trilogy. I firmly believe it. I think he needs to guide Rey on her path to becoming a proper Jedi, and he's the only character left in the franchise that can do it, so he has to come back in that film, and that may have a big part to play in it as well. He can't have a large role in Guardians of the Galaxy because he's got a large role in the Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9, so I don't know, it's all speculation. I hope he has a minor cameo role, but at the same time, I hope he's got such a big role in Star Wars that it's kind of a cutting off his chances of playing a more meatier role in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, John, whether or not he will crop up in... it does remain to be seen whether or not he will pop up in the next Guardians of the Galaxy volume, John. But we'll just move on now to the final piece of news that came in on Collider. This is in regards to Indiana Jones 5. Jonathan Kasdan is writing Indiana Jones 5 for Steven Spielberg. This is an exclusive. It was on the Collider website. Yeah, and basically the article, is saying that Jonathan Kasdan will be writing this chapter in the Indiana Jones saga. The other thing about this that I picked up, John, this film's not going to come out till 2021. We were just talking about this before we came on air. By that point, Harrison Ford is going to be 75 when this comes out, I think.
No, 78.
Oh, sorry, 78, because he's 75 just now. So you're talking 3 years away. We're going to see a 78-year-old Indiana Jones. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. Harrison Ford is a very fit man, give him that. But 3 years at that age, it's a long time. I don't want to be doom and gloom here, but I do hope he's still around in 2021. He's one of my favourite actors. We did a profile on Harrison Ford back in the early days of the podcast, John. Love his films. Indiana Jones 4, excluding that one, I didn't like that. I thought it was rubbish. Love the other Indiana Jones films. Don't know, Jonathan Kasdan, he's a chip off the old block. His father, obviously, Larry Kasdan of Star Wars and, other writings as well. I mean, Jonathan Kasdan is mostly done like episodes of TV series, John. I think he's only done one feature film, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, has he done 2 or 3? As we know, he co-wrote Solo, a Star Wars story with Larry Kasdan, and it wasn't outstanding. It was quite run-of-the-mill writings from the Kasdan family. And I'll just let you in now, John, and give me your thoughts on this piece of news.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it, Stephen. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. I know Jonathan Kasdan, as you said, he's not really massively experienced in terms of writing big productions. He wrote, I believe, In the Land of the Women, another lesser known film. They're getting reasonable ratings. He also did co-write Solo, a Star Wars story, more recently with his dad, Larry Kasdan, and that was okay, as she says. It wasn't mesmerising, the story. It hit all the right points, and it was quick paced, reasonably quick paced. I didn't get the whole slow 45 minutes thing that people were saying prior to me going and seeing it. I didn't agree with that at all. I thought it was relatively quite quick paced. The story was okay. And I don't really know what to make of this for the upcoming untitled Indiana Jones project. David Coype, I believe, was the guy that was writing it previously. He had a bit of experience writing Indiana Jones films prior to that. He did write The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the much maligned Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But he also wrote lots of Spielberg films, War of the Worlds, Jurassic Park. So this was a massively experienced writer. I don't know what's happened there that he's been forced out the door for John Kasdan, and it's kind of a disappointment in that regard, because I do admire David Coype as a writer. He wrote a hell of a lot of good films, Carlito's Way, Stir of Echoes. He was a very, very talented guy, and it's a shame that he's had to leave the project. I don't know if it actually says why he's left it in the article or not, but John Kasdan, relatively inexperienced guy, but he really is trying to get into the whole writing thing now, following on the footsteps of his father. I think they says that him collaborating with his father on Solo, a Star Wars story, was kind of a parting gift from his dad, if you like. It was the last time he was going to write Han Solo in a Star Wars film, and that he was going to pass the baton to his son, if you'd like. But I don't know what to make of it, really, because he's such an inexperienced guy. I've only really got one film I've seen that I can go off of in terms of his writing. It was okay, So I don't know what this means for this film going forward. I don't know a huge amount about the film, where it's going to be set, how big a role Harrison Ford's going to have. But I do agree that the amount of delaying that's happening with this film is not a good sign for it. It's continually getting put back. This is it. Now they're saying it's potentially 2021 now. It's not 100% confirmed. And Harrison Ford isn't getting any younger, as you did say. He's 75 years old. He's not a sprightly young chap by any means. He's very fit, flies planes in his spare time. He's fitter than me, he's got more muscles than me, and he's about 3 times my age, so I'm not slagging the guy off by any means. I hope he is here in 3-4 years' time. He doesn't need to be here in 3-4 years' time. He only has to be here in 1.5 2 years' time. Get the production over and by with, and then it's all fairly irrelevant after that. I don't want Harrison Ford to die, though, at any point. So I don't know what this means for the film, Stephen, him coming on board to write it. I don't know a huge amount about him. I just hope Harrison Ford makes it to the end, and I hope it's a step up in class from The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because that was an abomination of a film. And at this point, I'm not entirely sure whether I even want an Indiana Jones film anyway. The franchise should have been left alone after the first 3 films. It was a trilogy. It was a great trilogy. It's like the much talked about potential Back to the Future 4th installation of a film. They keep pushing the writers and Robert Zemeckis on bringing the potential 4th film in that franchise back. They're saying, no, we're not doing it, because it was gold. It was a great story. It was lightning in a bottle, and we ended things nicely. That's what it should have done with Indiana Jones. They didn't. They created that abomination a few years back, and now they're continuing. It's just sad, really, that Harrison Ford doesn't show quite as much contempt for the Indiana Jones character as he has done for the Han Solo character over the years, because he really should have killed this one off in the 80s.
You've answered 2 of the questions I was going to fire at you there, John. Firstly, I was going to ask, do we need an Indiana Jones 5? And secondly, just touching on what you were saying about Harrison Ford not having the same enthusiasm for Han Solo character. This shows you how far back we're going when they were talking about this Indy 5. It was during the sort of promotion of The Force Awakens. And I remember Harrison Ford being on all the talk shows at the time promoting the film, and he did show a lot of enthusiasm. I've got to be fair to him. He looked like he was enjoying the promotion aspects of The Force Awakens, and I think he enjoyed working with the young cast as well. But as I said, there was talk about the potential 5th instalment of the Indiana Jones films, and you could detect that he had more excitement about playing this role again. And I've got to be honest, I think you're right, John. I think they should have ended this after the Last Crusade. I thought that was a good way of ending it as a trilogy. If they were going to do any more, they should have done them possibly in the early to mid 90s. When he was still at a good age where he could be a convincing action star. At 75, I just don't think he's got that anymore. I felt in The Force Awakens he was a bit, he was a bit haggard. I know that was the sort of role he was playing anyway. He was obviously playing an older version of Han Solo, and that's what he'll certainly play in this Indiana Jones film. But the difference is Indiana Jones isn't a smuggler con man that can talk his way out of things. Indiana Jones is a adventurer, and a physical adventurer at that. He's certainly not your standard archaeologist who studies books all the time. He's out there running away from boulders and getting chased with tribes and spears and stuff like that. And I just don't know how they're going to do this with Indiana Jones 5 and make it look convincing, because you don't want him running about some kind of stunt double. It looks like him doing all these things that aren't convincing for a 75-year-old. But at the same time, you don't want to see Indiana Jones just sitting down talking about things the whole film. It's an action film. Bin it, please.
Maybe they could do what they did with Christopher Lee in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Just even get a stunt double and superimpose his face onto the body. He's not as old as Christopher Lee, to be fair.
I wish they did that with Shia LaBeouf in the 4th one.
Well, I was just about to say that, Stephen. The other way around about, kind of micromanaging his role in the film, and also accounting for the action scenes, is to maybe have a younger character offsetting him. He's been a mentor figure. Shia LaBeouf, I don't think, is going to be returning as the son of Indiana Jones. So that's kind of a null and void. Maybe they'll get another character in.
Alden Ehrenreich could come in.
Alden Ehrenreich, yeah. He's certainly got the looks for it, if nothing else. But the final thing I will say is maybe that Lawrence Kasdan will pass or impart some of his wisdom onto his son, He obviously wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, which in my opinion is the greatest Indiana Jones film ever made. So maybe he'll give him some hints and guide him along the right way to making a fantastic Indiana Jones film that nobody wants, but maybe it'll surprise everybody. I say nobody wants. I don't want it. I don't think you want it. Maybe there's some people out there who do want it. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't want it. But if it's good, I'll go and watch it. But that just brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Movie Burner podcast. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us once again, and we'll be back next week.
Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then subscribe to our channel, like, comment and share our videos. You can also find us on iTunes and Google Play at the Movie Burner Podcast, and give us a little follow on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Burners. If you fancy a spot of casual reading, then all our latest written reviews and occasional articles can be found at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.